Okay, so now we are talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. I watched this last night and I watched it again today. Tonight's episode, I won't be able to do that. It'll be tomorrow, but you'll get my immediate reactions to that one. Because that one's supposed to be balls to the wall. It's supposed to leave a cliffhanger because we won't have parts 4 and 5 till January 14th. So, this episode is the Batgirl episode. Now, I wish they would make it 5 parts of one story, not base it around the individual story arcs of the episodes. Episode 1 was very much a Supergirl episode. This one, well, it had elements of Batwoman, but it wasn't overthrown with it since they can't actually, and I was afraid of that they would, because they were supposed to be back on Earth 1. Well, then stuff happens, so they're not on Earth 1, they're on a Waverider of sorts. But because this is a Batwoman episode, I'm going to talk about my feelings towards Batwoman, okay? We'll talk about it. Well, for the most part, just because they put Supergirl and Batwoman on Sundays, I don't always get a chance to watch them. And even if I do have a chance, I'm just like, you know what? Do I need to? See, last year I didn't really watch Supergirl, and now Batwoman's on the same night. And it's just like, do I need to watch them when they're on? I watched them like the next day. Actually, I was behind some with Supergirl and Batwoman. I had to catch up, and I did. I guess I was further behind with Supergirl than I was with Batwoman. No problems with the shows, really. I enjoy Supergirl, Brainy, who wasn't in this, even though he should have been, because they were on he's gonna be on Earth 1 somewhere, but yeah, so that's one of the biggest things, is that everyone in the Arrowverse should be on the shows, not just, oh, but these people in this episode, these people in this episode, these people in this episode. No, it's a crossover. Everyone should be on each episode, but they don't do that. I know that's a lot of people to juggle, and some people might have to fill other episodes of their show. That's fine. But, still. And, one of the biggest things is that the first part ended with Pariah saying that he let out the Anti-Monitor. Pariah's not in this. Brainy's not in it, despite the fact that they were both on Earth 1 at the end of the episode. Episode 1, they're not. And we never found out, who all survived from Earth 38. We know that Sean had that carrier. But we didn't, so we know he's probably alive. We don't know about Lena, or Nia, or Kelly, even James. We know he's not really a part of the show anymore. Or Alex. We don't know if they survived. And Supergirl's just mourning her Earth. But we don't know who survived and who didn't. We know that, what did they say? 1.3 billion people survived, or 3.1 billion people survived, thanks to the efforts of Green Arrow. But we don't get any explanation as to who survived, So, Batwoman. Don't have any problems with it, it's easier for me to watch them on demand afterwards. For some reason. For the most part, Ruby Rose does a good job. I just think the only problem that's really with her is her American accent. You can sometimes hear the Australian slipping through a little bit on certain letters that she uses. Other than that, she's not bad at all. Now that I got that out, let's talk about the actual part 2 of Crisis. We start off right after the end, even though, like I said, some characters are missing. with Kate and Kara, and Sarah are drinking to Oliver. They don't drink because they're interrupted by the monitor, who tells them they need a Waverider because they need Ray's lab. Well, as an excuse to not have the rest of the legends in this episode, Sarah says, "Oh, I promised my crew I wouldn't have them in. They wouldn't be in any crossovers anymore." So what do? They go to Earth 74 and pick up that Waverider, which that Waverider is his only inhabitant is McRory, who isn't that different for being on a different Earth. He seems to be just a little bit nicer than our Mick. But his Gideon is Leonard Snart. It's Leonard Snart. I didn't get that at first, so I went to Facebook last night. So I was saying, "Oh, Leonard Snart is the Earth 74 Gideon." I'm like, how did you get that? Because when it talked, for some reason, when I watched it last night, I couldn't understand a thing it was saying. It was all echoey. Like, the regular Gideon isn't that echoey, but it was all echoey. "Oh, my name is Leonard." It's like, what? But Lila could understand it. They get that Waverider, and they use that Waverider for Ray to make a device that could track down Paragons, who are 7 heroes that could help save the multiverse. And this is where the Monitor reveals that he went back in time because, promo images and stuff, they showed that the Book of Destiny was going to be involved, but the Book of Destiny was destroyed in Elseworlds. Well, the Monitor went back in time and stopped the book from being destroyed, basically. He ripped it from the timeline, so he's using that. There's a good reason for that, too, I guess. So he says that he knows 4 of the Paragons, specifically. He says that Kara is the Paragon of Hope. Sarah is the Paragon of Destiny. And there are 2 more. A mysterious Kryptonian who has lost more than anyone in the world, or something like that. And who has suffered a loss more than any mere mortal could have known, something like that. And the other one is the bat of the future. So Kate and Kara go to Earth 99 to talk to an older Bruce Wayne, played by Kevin Conroy, and Superman, or Clark, Superman, and Lois decide to go track down the Kryptonian. And then they insert a scene that you got me going. Because I was questioning this when they were showing promo images of this. Like, why is she even going there? And that's Iris. They showed another scene where Barry and Iris are hugging. And Iris says that the Monitor has given her the mission to help find the rogue Kryptonian. And I'm sitting there going, why? Why does Iris need to be involved in this? We have other heroes they could have went with. I mean, come on. You could send Mick, and all he does is watch the baby. For God's sake. But no, Iris has to go with them. Why? I don't... And I know I've heard people talk about this. If Iris ends up being a Paragon, I'm going to jump out the fucking window. But I have a theory as to the last 3 Paragons, alright? So I'll get to those theories. I hope I'm right on these, and I hope... I hope... they don't do that with Iris. But okay, so... let's start with Earth 99, alright? Because we got a little bit of Journey to Goat Superman stuff. So, Earth 99, and on Earth 99, Kate and Kara go to Bruce Wayne's mansion. And it's in some kind of future timeline, much like 2046. Much like the Earth, Earth 16? from the last one. But here, future timeline, and this Bruce Wayne has the exoskeleton suit. The exosuit, like the Kingdom Come Batman. But his story, I guess, is sort of like Batman The Dark Knight Returns. I guess. I don't know. But sorry. Nose is stuck up. We do find out that this Bruce is not as nice as he seems. When they get there, they're kind of separated as Kara goes with this Earth's Luke Fox, and Kate goes to talk to Bruce. And Kate finds out that Bruce killed a bunch of his villains. Not only that, but Kara finds out that Bruce killed this Earth's Superman. And so Kara confronts him as Supergirl, and Bruce reveals that he has the kryptonite in there, but Kate steps in to save Kara and electrocutes his ass. And so he's dead. As far as Kevin Conroy being a live-action Bruce Wayne, I've heard people say that it was a waste of him, that they tarnished the character. You know, I think they did an alright job. People, made him a killer or whatever people are getting mad at that. I don't have a problem with it. It makes sense that, a character played by him would have suffered a lot, that he would, and they never specifically say it, but they say that Kate died 5 years earlier when she put on the cape. What if that's what made him snap? Who knows? But that's probably not what happened. Now I think about it, but Bruce is dead, so he's not the Paragon. He's not the Paragon of Courage, so what's going on there? We'll get to that. Now we transition. Lex Luthor has escaped. With the Book of Destiny, he's going to use it to kill every Superman within the multiverse that's still around. And he kills one Superman, the one that we see in the trailers, which I paused it to try to see who it was, and I couldn't really tell who it was. It wasn't Tyler Hoechlin, whatever his name is. It wasn't him. It was someone else. I couldn't tell by the face. And it looked kind of like Ben Affleck. And those of you who are saying, Ben Affleck never played Superman. He kind of did. He played George Reeves in a biopic about, his suicide and stuff. And, if that's supposed to be the George Reeves Superman, decent, if it was supposed to be. So, that went along. So they go to the next Earth, which happens to be Earth 167, which is the Smallville Earth. Didn't get the theme song, but that's okay. We got it in Elseworld, which made me pop. But, here we see the Clark Kent of Smallville. And I hear people talk about this too, like, oh, what a waste of Tom Welling. They're only saying that because they want him to suit up. And people are like, oh, he needs to suit up with Superman. And people are always saying, oh, we waited 10 years and we never got him to see him as Superman. That wasn't the point. The point of Smallville was that it was leading up to him becoming Superman. If he became Superman, it wouldn't be that show anymore. It'd be a Superman show. Even though you can argue the last 4, 8, 9, 10, last 3 seasons were sort of Superman-esque because he was the blur, the red, blue blur, and the blur, and that sort of thing. But when we first see him, he's chopping wood with an axe, and right away that tells you when. Even our Superman says, "I could do that with one bare hand." And we find out later, because they don't get to interact with him that long. That was the only thing that really got me, is that how come they have to be whisked away by Lex Luthor? Why can't they talk to him for a little bit longer, Have a Superman interaction, but no, boom, gone. And then Lex Luthor shows up. What I liked is they kind of called back to the show, too, because they're like, Lex Luthor's trying to kill you, And Clark says, I didn't know the president was in town. Now harks back, because the end of the series, they show that Lex became president. So, where the timeline is, I don't know. But people are complaining, but on Smallville in 2020, they showed that Clark was still Superman. And on this one, we find out that he gave up his powers. But the times are all shifted around. If Earth 15 can be in Earth 16, whatever it is, can be in 2046, Earth 99 can be in a future timeline. Why can't this be a little bit sped up? You know what I mean? But he gave up his powers to have a family, which is, people said, that's not Clark. Well, it kind of is. There were times in Smallville he didn't want to have the powers anymore. There was times he lost the powers and he loved it. He loved, being able to, be with someone in that certain sexual sort of way, where he was afraid when he has powers he was going to hurt them. So, yeah, it is what he would want. Then eventually he would, he and Lois would want to settle down and have kids, and to do that he would have to become human. Whether he was wearing a watch that had a blue tint to it, or that could be blue kryptonite, which on Smallville, blue kryptonite takes away powers as long as you wear it, So that could be a blue kryptonite watch, because he was it Jaxer or Daxer, whatever it was, and he used that to become normal, or he had a ring. But here, that's could be what it was, or he could have went to Jor-El and had him take his powers away. Either way, I didn't mind what they did with them. I kind of liked it. It respected the character. It did respect the character, and that, to me, that was what was important. But there is a point where Lex gets upset and he goes to punch Clark. Clark blocks and he goes, still stronger. And then Lex leaves. He disappears. He has enough. And then we get the Lois Lane from Smallville showing up, and they walk off towards the farm. So yeah, it's a cameo. Maybe it was split up into twos, because there's the part where they come to talk to him. They're whisked away by Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor shows up, and it cuts to commercial. And then it comes back and it finishes. Well, eventually we get to the Earth we're supposed to, where they meet the Kingdom Come Superman, played by Brandon Routh, who's also playing Ray Palmer in the crossover. And this is where we get a backstory that the Joker killed everyone with his gas. And Clark was the only one to survive because he's Superman. He killed Lois, Jimmy, Perry White. They're all dead. Except for him, because he can't be killed by gas. And there's a confusing continuity in this as well. I'll get to that, but Lex Luthor shows up and uses the Book of Destiny to have Kingdom Come Superman fight our Superman, and there's a fight. Eventually, Lois is able to talk him down and convince him to be good again. And they capture Lex and everything. They get back to the Waverider, and this is where the continuity is kind of weird. Kingdom Come Superman says that it's not the first time he freaked out and faced himself. And I was like, because that was Superman 3, where there's two Supermen fighting each other. But this is following from Superman Returns, which we later get a nod to. Superman 3 and 4 didn't happen in that continuity. It's 1, 2, and Superman Returns. So, how does that work? We do get another nod when Lois gets to hold baby John again, and Kingdom Come Clark, KC Clark looks down and says, "He reminds me of my son Jason." I was like, Did they just confirm? Superman Returns, if you don't know, they hint, I don't know if they completely can, that Jason, Lois Lane's son in that one, is Superman's son. There's even a thing at the end where he says the speech that the father becomes the son becomes the father to him when he's sleeping. And they never did anything with that because apparently it didn't do that well, even though I think it's one of the better Superman movies, especially better than Superman 3. But they just flat out confirmed that Jason is Superman's son. So, there you go, fan base. And we get confirmation, that the Kingdom Come Superman is the Paragon of Destiny, Hope, Courage was the Bat one. The Paragon of Truth. That the Kingdom Come Superman is the Paragon of Truth. And it's revealed that Kate is actually the future Bat. The Bat of the future they were talking about, which right away I thought about that. I was like, wait, it's going to be her, isn't it? Something's going to happen where it's going to be Kate. It's her show, right? And yeah, she ends up being the Paragon of Courage. So we have 4. Who are the other 3? Well, here's my theory. I sort of watched Black Lightning after the show last night. I had the sound off, but I saw the end. I think Black Lightning is going to be one of them. Earth 90 Flash. And it's either going to be one of two characters to be the last one. It's either going to be Ryan Choi or John Jones. That was my pick for one of the last one. Because I'm not sure, because the monitor showed up at the end of the Supergirl before the crossover and said that you are needed in the crisis. He wasn't in this episode, but I'm assuming he's going to come back, and I'm assuming that he's going to be one of the Paragons. So it's either him or Ryan Choi. Ryan Choi shows up at some point in this crossover, so there's that. But yeah, this was a decent episode. I like the callbacks. I didn't mind the Smallville stuff. I didn't mind the Bruce Wayne stuff. All that much. It's still pretty good. So, decent second episode. I can't wait for tonight's episode, even though I have to wait till tomorrow to watch it. But, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you. Why doesn't that ever work?